How's it going, my friends? It's Erica with Not Your Average EDC, and today we have the week 1 update for the knives that we're testing in July. Just woke up, got my cup of coffee. Let's do this. We have a lot to talk about today, and I'm feeling very zen, so we're just sitting in my room with horrific lighting to do this update. Okay, so if you guys are new to the channel, welcome. I'm testing the TRM Neutron 2 and the Spartan Harsey folder 3.25 and the Spyderco Para 3 with applied weapons tech scales in S45VN. All of these are getting tested this month. We have a lot of work to do. So this is not a review. My reviews are only done after a month of consecutive testing, but I do an update every week to tell you guys how things are going. That way I don't forget during the final review, because there's a lot of information that gets brought in during that month. So, I have sharpened all 3 of these by now. We're going to talk about the sharpening experience, but first I just want to go over a few things about each knife, because the sharpening thing is going to take a while to talk about. So, TRM Neutron. This is amazing so far. I cannot stop saying that I'm so glad that I revisited this after I completely annihilated this company and this knife at first, because it's different now. There are things that have been changed that really suit me better. And this is a very comfortable, very good tool so far. I'm highly, highly, highly impressed with it. It's very comfortable in the hand. I put up a video the other day of the garlic trimming I was doing at work, which is just brutal on a knife. I recorded that, put it up. This is the knife that I was using in that video, although I did it with all 3 of the knives, but that's the only one that got recorded because I forgot to record the other 2. But this knife it was clearly built to actually be used. Now, I'm not saying hard used, but used. Clearly, the improvements with the scales and stuff like that, it really wants to be used. And this is extremely comfortable in hand. Everything about it is really great so far. It's not feeling super comparable to other knives that I've tested. The only one that I can kind of think of I just woke up, as you can tell. The only thing that I can think to compare it to a little bit is the bug out. It does give me kind of like bug out vibes in use and just by design. Right? The bug out's a little slimmer, especially in the handle area, but very reminiscent, and when I'm using it, I feel that. I feel that as well. And you guys know that the bug out is one of my favorite knives of all time. So definitely thin and slicey like a bug out, but a user. A few things I will mention that I noticed using it for a week so far. The pocket clip is just awful for me so far. Numerous people have said I should put cardboard underneath it or take it off and bend it, blah, blah, blah. I have to, every time I put it in my pocket, which is probably, 75 times a day, I have to pull the pocket clip up like that to get it in my pocket. So that's super annoying. It's just way too strong. This clip is way too strong. So that's something that's driving me crazy. But aside from that, everything else about this is incredible. A lot of people say that these thumb studs suck if you don't have the O-rings on them, which, let me just say, TRM, why aren't you sending the O-rings out with the knife? I don't understand that. I guess you can buy them separately, like from Amazon or something. I don't understand that at all, but these thumb studs without the O-rings for me are great. I haven't had any issues, and I have O-rings for this from the first Neutron, and I put them on and I just thought it looked like ugly, and it didn't even feel that different to me, really. Like, it felt different, but I didn't care for it. I'm totally fine with this without the O-rings. But I am confused as to if people really clearly like them, why you're not sending out the O-rings with the knife. I don't know. Milling, beautiful. Centering, perfect. People were concerned that I was going to get the Nick Shabazz model when I got this. I think I did, and I hope I did. Like I said, my first one was a piece of shit, so I'm glad that maybe they put extra detail and attention into this one for me. If you don't like that, fuck off. Yeah, so that's feeling like a bug out. Really enjoying that so far. Also, I'm so sorry for this, like, glare, guys. This video quality is going to be shit, but, like, I literally just woke up, so please, like, bear with me here. Let's talk about the Spartan Harsey folder next. This is an interesting knife, guys. This is very interesting. And I've mentioned this before, but I try to not get a ton of information about a knife before I reviewed and test it, just because I want to create my own ideas. And as humans, we're like little sponges. We just soak up everything that we hear. So the fucking peanut gallery has been parroting for months now. It feels just like a Chris Reeve. It feels just like a Chris... No, it doesn't. Shut the fuck up. No, it's not even close to a Chris Reeve, guys. Does this look like a Sebenza to you? No. Does it feel like one? Absolutely not. It's not even fucking close. But we've got, 8,000 people preaching that this is very Sebenza-like. No, it's not. It's not even close. This is a beefy knife. Now, it doesn't look it, and it, in theory isn't. It's pretty slim. We have a thin overall profile. It almost looks like a fillet knife or a steak knife. And in use, this is a sharpened pry bar. There is really not much room for this blade to thin out, and it's pretty thick. It does not feel like a Sebenza at all to me. The only thing I could say is that maybe, like, quality-wise, it's comparable to a Sebenza, but it does not feel or look or act like one in the slightest. So first off, on a Sebenza, everyone knows that they have a hydraulic action. Like, that's just what they have. I think even the company itself calls it a hydraulic action. And you feel that. That's not peanut gallery spitting shit in your face. This is, like, very hydraulic. It almost feels like when you open and close a Sebenza, it almost feels like it is being pinched right here. Not too hard, just right. It's being pinched pretty hard, though. And you have a little bit of resistance, and it gives it this slow rolling hydraulic action. This does not have that at all. And yes, this does have, like, the large washer in front and then the small washer in back, but this is so much smoother and, like, just faster than a Sebenza right out of the box. They're not even close in terms of action. Build quality, yeah, maybe. This is a very nice high-quality knife, just like the Chris Reeve. But it doesn't feel one. It doesn't perform like one. None of the edges on this knife are, like, smooth. This is a very rugged, sharp knife, and not uncomfortably sharp, but, like, there are edges. There are edges, and they're borderline, like, they're right on that border of probably annoying people. They don't annoy me, but I can tell that this is a very sharp, rigid knife that could throw people off if they're expecting the smooth contours of a Sebenza. The pocket clip is great. I wish that it was maybe somehow not having this much out of my pocket all the time. Like, that's a good amount of property sticking out of my pocket. However, it does make it nice to pull out, but that's just like a lot of real estate poking out that I've noticed, especially with that point. It is something I noticed. Also, a little detail, and I don't know if they did this for the purpose that I'm noticing, but a little detail is when I go to pull this out of my pocket, this jimping right here and the way this is shaped is literally like perfect for getting a good purchase and pulling it out. Like this all right here, your fingers, when you go to pull this out, it just grabs and it comes out really easily, and I really like that. I mean, I don't know why they would put that jimping down there if it wasn't for that purpose, you know? Like this up here all makes sense, but back here, I don't know why that would be there other than to help you pull it out of your pocket, which is super cool because it does 100% work. And when you're using this knife, it's just a sharpened pry bar so far. Unless something magical happens, you know, the very small amount of blade that you have to work with to thin this out, that's not going to really change. And I'm just noticing that this is very, almost like 940-esque. Like it does a lot of things good, but none of them great. And I'm really noticing that this is the knife that I'm reaching for when I need something with like an edge on it to pry and like kind of messily cut things apart and to wedge them apart. This is very much like the 940 so far, if I were to compare it to anything that I've tested and have in my collection. You guys know I love the 940, especially for a hard use knife, and the Harsey is absolutely a hard use knife. I've been beating the shit out of this thing, honestly, and it's really feeling like this. So I'm not sure at the end of the month how many people I'll be able to recommend this to, because if you're actually using your knives, again, just like the 940, I'm not quite sure what you're going to think about this, guys. I've had at least 5 situations come up in my use this week where I went to go cut something with this knife and it just didn't quite work. Even this morning I was cutting the top off of a dog food bag in my freezer, and it's like kind of a like foil type bag. It's a really thick vacuum sealed foil bag from Canada because I feed my dogs like professional dog food. This could not cut through it. Like it couldn't grab it. It just was not working. And then, you know, the Neutron just flies through it. But this just doesn't work for everything, and it really is like a multi-tool so far. But we are going to talk about the steel when I get to sharpening in a minute, okay? So, like, hear me out on that. But yeah, the build quality on this, superb. This thing is a fucking tank. Para 3, we've already reviewed this, like, a lot. I'm mostly just testing the steel quality and these scales on this, not the overall model. This thing is a beast. Honestly, I'm not noticing a difference in, like, enjoying the skinny scales over the regular scales. People love to be like, oh my god, you know, the factory scales are absolute garbage. You have to get skinny scales. Again, I don't think you have to. This is super comfortable. I don't understand. Like, the skinny scales, I'm sure, have a few upsides, but, like, I'm just not noticing anything extravagant about going back to the normal ones. Like, I'm not ever wishing that they were the skinnies again. I think they're both great. I think it's just kind of personal preference. Very comfortable. I mentioned in my last video that I finished off that bushel basket of garlic with this knife, and it just fucking shreds. This thing is incredible. I'm really, really enjoying the Para 3. It's one of those knives where I feel like I could have one of these forever and just be totally fine. I really like it. And this S45 is performing really well. But yeah, not much to say about that because we've already reviewed it before. So if I were to compare this to anything, of course, you guys know the only thing in my collection that I can compare it to kind of is a BGM. mini spade full flat ground. Very reminiscent of this, and you guys know this is one of my favorite, well, this is my like favorite small EDC fixed blade. I've said that 100 times. The spade, the mini spade from BGM Knives, favorite of all time. Let's talk about the sharpening experience with these, because that's where things really got fucking weird, and not in a bad way, but weird. And TRM, if you're watching, calm down. Every time that I say something about the testing, it's like they get nervous and they're like, oh no, did she break it? Are you hard using it? Don't cut garden hoses with it, and I'm not sure about butchering a chicken, and please don't use the tip, and oh no, you use the word interesting, does that mean bad? I'm like, guys, calm down. Spoiler alert, this thing is the fucking balls, so relax. I have many good things to say right now. So, sharpened all of these for the first time the other day. I had done the garlic project. It was very rough on these blades. I tried to strop just for the hell of it, even though I knew it wasn't gonna work. I tried stropping each one back. It was an absolute no-go. The edges were just too far gone for a strop to bring them back. And I have like 10 different fucking strops with all compounds. Like, it just, none of it was hard enough to fix those edges. So then we had to pull out the sharpening stones. So, the first ones that I did were my S45VNs. I wanted to use the same progression for each knife because they're both S45VN. And I really wanted to see the differences between these two, because as far as I know, these blades from Spartan are double cryoed. So that's interesting to me. That's what I heard. Double cryo treatment, and then you've got like your traditional just whatever for the Spyderco, right? Production treatment on those. So I went to go sharpen both of these. I started with a 600 grit DMT stone, and it just was not moving the material in the manner I wanted, which was kind of surprising because, you know, 600 in my opinion is a great all around, like, one and done stone, kind of like a good starting grit. If you use your knives a decent amount, like 600 DMT is pretty good. I tried that for both of these. It just wasn't moving the material like I wanted to on either one of these. So I actually had to go all the way down to a 120 grit Sharpening ceramic stone, a glass stone, right? Because it just wasn't moving. So I was like, fuck it, I'm not going to waste my time. Let's use the 120 grit Sharpening ceramic. And that moved the material flawlessly, very quick. Within, a few passes, we've already got a good burr started up on the Spyderco. So it took maybe, I would say 3 minutes on the Spyderco to, work on one side, build a burr, flip it, work on the other side, build a burr, then go back and forth a few times and really establish like a decent starting apex, right, on the 120. Then I went over to my Spartan, because I'm not going to finish my whole progression on this and then go to this. I wanted to do them side by side. They were going to go through every step of the progression together so I could really dial in what was going on. And I would say on the 120 ceramic, this Spyderco S45VN did exactly what I expected. It was acting like a traditional tried and true S45VN, which I've used a good amount of. It was perfect. It was doing exactly what it was supposed to do, right? Now, same exact stone, 120 grit Sharpening ceramic stone. This motherfucker took probably 10 minutes on that one stone. This did not feel like S45 that I'm used to at all. And I unfortunately knew ahead of time that these are double cryoed because I had seen it on fucking social media somewhere, probably Instagram, and unfortunately you just hear and see things that sometimes you don't want to hear. So I did know that this had a double cryo treatment, and it was probably going to be different than what I'm used to. But you cannot argue real life use and facts. It did take quadruple the amount of time that the Spyderco did. It just wasn't moving as quickly. And it gave me a little bit of a burr after, 5 minutes, but it wasn't as aggressive as I wanted it to. And I knew that if I flipped it too soon, it just wasn't going to apex correctly. So it took, a good amount of time to reestablish that edge on that ceramic stone. And it did not feel like S45 at all. It felt like fucking Maximate, guys. And I have been using Maximate on and off for quite some time. I have some right now in my box. It felt like Maximate on the stone. It felt that hard. I don't know the heat treat on any of these, actually, but it felt like Maximate. And as we moved through the progression of the other stones, it still felt like Maximate. That's how these are treated. So that's really interesting to me because it's S45 VN, but it's nothing like the production S45 that I've used, and it's nothing like the Chris Reeve S45 that I've used. I don't know what Chris Reeve does with their S45. I don't know if it's completely different or if it's the same as Spartan, but I will tell you right now, these did not feel alike at all. So finally, after 10 or maybe even 15 minutes, I got to a point that I was happy with the Spartan, and then I moved back to the 600 grit DMT because it's a really good stone. And now that I had a good apex started, I wanted to move through a few more stones, and I thought that 600 was a good bump up from what I had. So I went to 600 grit DMT again, kind of like dialed in that edge a little bit more. With that, it took a little longer on the Spartan, but not as drastic of a difference as the 120. With the Spyderco, it was like 3 minutes. This was just performing like a tried and true S45. So very easy to work with. Did the 600 grit DMT. That's a fine stone. And then I moved up to a 1000 grit Nanawa Japanese water stone. And that was literally to just hone in that edge before stropping. I really wanted to just, crisp it up a little bit with a few passes on the 1000 grit. Nothing too crazy. Again, took longer on the Spartan than on the Spyderco, but not a drastic difference. And then I did a few passes on a strop. I have one of those strop bats from River's Edge, and it has 3,000, 5,000, and 7,000 grit compound on it. It's like a 4-sided strop, and then it has raw leather. And I moved through each one of those, just a few passes on each one with both of these. And then they were like literally popping hairs off of my arm. Both of them were. So, all in all, the Spartan S45 VN is just completely different than production S45. It feels like Maximate. It feels way harder. It's way more difficult to sharpen. Not literally difficult to sharpen, just in comparison, it takes way longer. It takes way more time. But the experience was really good. It came up very even. It felt like a very stable burr when I got it. Just the whole experience in general was very stable and impressive to me. And the fact that they took S45 VN and made it feel exotic, that's very cool to me. Now, this is not the best slicer at all. It's not even the best cutter. This to me is a beautiful, expensive multi-tool so far. But doing things like I recorded the other day, the separation of the flower flats at my work, it excels at stuff like that, and it's just a beast of a multi-tool so far. And if you don't think that knives are multi-tools, get off the channel, because I talk about that a lot. Just save your breath. So, yeah, this one felt amazing. Traditional S45 VN. Very well done by Spyderco so far. Really impressed with the sharpening experience and everything of this, and the edge retention. Really, really impressed. So, yeah, that was the progression on those. Now, the Neutron. This one's a 20 CV, guys. And I know nothing about where these are heat treated, where they're ground. I know nothing other than this is 20 CV. I mean, I don't know shit about this other than that the edge angle looks like it's probably fucking, I don't know, 17 degrees. That's all I know. So, this needed some work too. I tried to strap it back because Marianne had sent me an email and she's like, so I'm watching your videos and like you're talking about sharpening, but we really suggest that you strop if you can instead of like sharpening. And I was like, yes. Thank you. I appreciate that. I always strap my knives if I can, but this one unfortunately needs a stone. It was doing a lot of work. Marianne's great. So I was debating on what to do with this one because I've only used 20 CV on a Benchmade mini grip before. That's something that I had in 20 CV. And I wasn't quite sure what to do with this. So just for the hell of it, I was like, I'll try starting on a 1000 grit Nanawa Japanese waterstone. I didn't know if it was going to be hard enough to move the material on this, but worst case it doesn't work and you have to backtrack and go to 600 or 325 or something, right? No big deal. I was very curious about starting it on the 1000 because when I was using this for the garlic, this felt like a very hard treated steel. It was really impressive. I mentioned that before, right? That like I was very nervous about doing that hard use work with this very thin slicey blade. And this outperformed the other two by a landslide. It also didn't really sustain any significant edge damage. It just needed some work. So when I started on the 120, or not the 120, when I started on the 1000 grit Japanese stone, I really didn't think it was going to move the material. And I'm not kidding, it was like maybe 3 or 4 swipes, and I already had a pretty significant burr started up. I was like, are you fucking kidding? That's fantastic. Like, not only did this shred during the garlic testing and using it for days after that, but 3 or 4 swipes on a 1000 grit stone and it already had a burr. Whoo, guys, TRM, I don't know where you're treating this and I don't know what the fuck you're doing, but don't stop because you're doing something right with how you're doing this 20 CV. That was impressive. So I literally used the 1000 grit stone, couple swipes, built a burr, flipped it over, couple swipes, back and forth a few times to knock that off, and it was like popping hairs off of my arm just with like a light touch. And the reason I'm not showing that to you guys now, I keep saying it was, so sharp. I used all 3 of these like all day yesterday. It was delivery day, so like they're probably not. I haven't even checked, but they're not going to be where they were right after sharpening. Right? We had a long day of work yesterday. But after sharpening, this thing was like, I literally would touch my arm hairs and they'd be like, bing, 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 like just jumping away. And it took maybe 5 minutes total on the 1000 grit, and I was happy with where the edge was. And then I used my strop with green marbles compound on it and just did a few swipes, and it was just like ready to fucking go. So maybe a total of 6.5 minutes to get this from not even cutting paper to just razor fucking sharp. That in essence is why I literally don't get why knife companies think we're fucking idiots and they like treat shit at like 59, 60, 61 for toughness. Like, God forbid you give us the qualities of the steel that we actually fucking want. Almost all of the knife companies, guys, like the production ones especially, treat shit so fucking low, and when you ask them, they're like, well, we don't want to compromise toughness, so we treat them low for the satisfaction of our customers. Suck a dick. You're an idiot. Because I don't know what this is treated at, but the fact that this is so thin, and I was literally crushing dirt and pebbles and rocks with it. It's 20 CV. And within 6.5 minutes, I had it popping hairs off my arm. Don't come to me talking about toughness and your low, shitty heat treat. Get out. Because if you do it right, the toughness shouldn't be compromised. It's just like that MagnaCut thing. Like, well, I mean, we should be doing it 60 to 61 to not compromise the toughness of MagnaCut. I literally have seen like 100 videos of people testing their MagnaCut that clocked in at like 64 or 65. It's doing the same damn shit as at the ones coming in at 61 or 62. And no, it's not breaking. It's not chipping. It's not snapping in half. It's not rolling. Like, y'all are just lazy and you're taking our money and you want your warranty to stay alive. So like, calm your tits. This knife is fucking incredible. I can't believe what this did the other day. And to be fixed within, 6.5 minutes on one stone and one strop, that is incredible. That is speaking volumes for what TRM is having their blades done at. Absolutely incredible. Now, this is not like a traditional hard use knife. It's very thin. I wouldn't want to pry with it. But the edge itself can take a beating. The actual edge, the cutting edge, is not fragile. It's not brittle. I can't believe what I was doing with this. And like, even to have a 1000 grit Nanawa move that material that quickly, it's beautiful, guys. I don't get it. It's incredible. So we're at a half hour now of just like gushing about knives here. But I'm so excited to continue with this testing because we have a lot of weird things going on. We've got an S45 that feels like MagnaCut. We've got a very traditional, beautifully done S45 from Spyderco. And then we have 20 CV that just is not comparable to anything I've used, really. It's just in its own little world right now of being fabulous. So I am so excited to continue testing these, using these. I will tell you right now, the Neutron is taking a place in my heart so far in terms of edge retention and geometry and stuff. Ooh, it's good, guys. It's really good. So, yeah, that is the update on all of the test knives. I have a ton of stuff to do because tonight we have a very busy night of disc golf, drinking beer, bonfire, drinking beer, and drinking beer. So I need to go get ready. But I will see you guys on the next video. Go use your shit. Go use your shit. Go use your shit. And can we please start a movement like trying to get companies to like actually treat the steels not baby shit soft? Like, please, for the love of fuck. Because I don't get it. I mean, I do, but it's stupid. So like, let's jump on my bandwagon. Let's do that. Jump on my bandwagon of getting companies to actually give us the qualities of the steel that we want. Okay? Anyway, guys, go use your shit. I will see you on the next video. I love you all. See you soon.